Hey everyone, welcome to POPXP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the POPXP channel. What is going on YouTube? It's the brain of the mainframe here now, Scala the POPXP, and we are live. What's right? It is time to hang out. I got the boy, Dr. Blevins, in the house, and the teen sensation, Mr. Billy Tucci. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Great now. I'm excited about the guests we got for today.
I'm excited about the guests. We got professionals in the house. Mr. Tucci, we got professionals in the house.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, we got rock stars, man.
Rock stars. That's what I'm talking about.
We don't have professionals, but we got professionals. You know,
professionals.
The professionals getting ready to get their asses whipped.
I don't know, man. Did you see the drum? The drum of war was ignited.
The drum of war, man. The drum of war. The drum of feedback and reverb.
Hey, look at me in the eyes, bro, when I'm talking to you. The drum of war is here. Are you ready for that? The RT Bear? I love that video.
Yeah, that may be the drum of war, bro, but I got the bell of pain.
Yo! Dude, I gotta say, man,
that just happened. That just happened.
I gotta say, dude, I think Tucci's got the best CGWF promo out there.
What is it? Do you have it?
I'm just saying, you know, RT Bear, I reached out. I said, RT Bear. I said, you got to freaking hit those drums. You got to tell these guys the beatdown they're going to get Thursday night on the CGWF. And he did it. But it was kind of calm. It was like, but up, I'm going to beat you up. But up, I'm going to beat you up. I don't know, Billy.
Yeah, that was, I would call that a bitch down.
A
bitch down.
But I'll tell you, we got two guests tonight. Two guys that can give you the beatdown on comics. I mean, they know the ins, the outs. They know what's going on. They know what's hot. They know what's not. They know what's real. They know the deal. And I'm telling you guys, let's welcome a good friend of ours, Mr. Billy Tucci. We got John Cimino in the house, and we've got Pawn Stars, right? On the History Channel, Pawn Stars exclusive expert to comics, Mr. Steve Houston. So let's welcome John Cimino and Steve Houston. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Gentlemen.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
That's sound effects right there. That's like the real deal. Steve, my friend, how are you doing tonight? First and foremost, thank you for coming on the show. This is the first time you've ever been on POPXP, hanging out with the biggest and brightest in the comic industry, kind of. And we're really happy to have you here. And John, as always, man, we've known you for quite some time. Welcome back to the channel.
It's an honor. And Billy, like I said, Billy's been a friend of mine for a few years. I've known Billy years prior when I was a dealer, comic dealer. But then when we hit it off in Hawaii, I don't know if you remember, Billy, with our buddy Chandler Rice and stuff, that I really got to know Billy. And we sang your wife happy birthday on that. Do you remember?
That's right. Yeah, at the show.
Yeah, and so
that was a great. Yeah, that was a great week, man. We ended up staying down there. We went to Maui. That was awesome.
Wait. You guys were in Hawaii?
We were in Hawaii.
What? Hawaii?
Hawaii.
You remember Hawaii? I got it.
So Billy, it's an honor. It's an honor to be here.
Steve's like, what is going on, Blevins?
Hey, Steven. So anyway, Steve and John, I don't know if you heard us talking some kind of smack, but on tomorrow's POPXP, we have the Professionals, which is our weekly show with RT Bear, Andy Smith, Aaron Lopresti, Graham Nolan, and Dan Fraga, and we switch channels every week. Well, tomorrow night on the Professionals is the inaugural Broyal. What was it?
Rumble.
Royal Rumble. Like
Royal
Rumble.
It's the Royal.
The
I gotta share
Royal
this
cheese.
right now. So Steve, you're gonna love this, Steve. I don't know if you are, but I think I have to subjugate all y'all watching this. But I'm gonna do my little commercial now. Is that all right?
You're gonna play it?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it.
Are you gonna play the real deal?
Now. Here we go.
Do it, bro. Do it.
Let's see it.
Here we go. All right. Because you know how wrestling is, boys. You got to talk some smack.
You got it muted.
No, I got it now. Right.
Hey everybody, Teen Sensation Billy Tucci here. Duck hunting in the great wilds of Long Island. As it seems appropriate, pros are ducking me for the professional Royale Rumble this Thursday night. And it's appropriate because I should be chicken hunting because they've been ducking me all week. So I'll see you all on Thursday on the POPXP at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Peace, love, duck!
Booyah.
Booyah.
That's that.
Yeah, so tomorrow night, man, we got it. There goes the professional spilling the ink. Who will be the ultimate bro?
Who will be the ultimate bro?
Let's talk about the ultimate new comic book YouTube channel, Billy. Podcast YouTube channel. Could it be the Steven Cimino Says Boom podcast?
I'd say it is. Boys, talk to us.
Well, this came kind of out of when I first met Steve. When we did a deal at Torpedo with Roy Thomas, and I always knew his other guy, Zubair. John, I knew a little bit, but when I saw Steve's arm, and I knew exactly where he got it from. He has a tattoo of the Hulk on his arm, and I was like, that's Sal Buscema from a dream sequence. And me and Steve just hit it off. And Steve took us to dinner, and we're both talking about the greatness of Roy Thomas. And Roy Thomas is sitting next to us, and we're not even talking to Roy. We're both just talking to each other. It's like Roy isn't even there. Oh,
he did try to get involved a little bit, but we were like, Roy, be quiet for a moment. We're talking.
Roy, shut up. No.
And Steve starts talking to Roy about what was the comic that he was writing? And what did he?
Oh, I was talking about his Thor run, remember?
Yeah, and then
I kept going on and on and on and on. The poor guy had tears coming out of his eyes after a while.
No, but Roy's like, yeah, I know, I wrote it. You know?
I know. And I had to tell him about every page and every panel because he might have forgotten.
So then when we did a second signing with them just recently, a few months ago, we would be sending texts back to each other about comic book lore and all that stuff, just fooling around. And then I go, we should start a podcast. I was just kind of joking to see it. And he was like, yeah, we should. And then but me and him, the sad part is me and Steve don't really know what to do with this stuff. We just know how to get on the air and start talking about this stuff. And I want to thank Three Men in a Basement, to shout out to them, Roger and Otto. They've been helping us out with the tech support and stuff, and they're good guys. And me and Steve, like I said, this is just about talking comics with a passion, mostly Bronze Age, obviously, probably from 1960 to 1985, all in there. A couple, but it's nothing modern. It's just the stuff we grew up with and how we love it so much. And then we're going to also have special guest stars, which in my circle of the Roy Boys, a lot of people, when I say the Roy Boys, they just think of me and Roy Thomas. But I'm exclusive to Roy, but I have kind of a big circle of guys that I can bring in. And I hate to say this, to go against your thing. What is this? What's your episode coming up?
Royale Rumble.
Well, we're premiering our first interview with our guests, the legend himself, Steve Englehart, Mr. Star-Lord, Mrs. Mantis, and Mr. Shang-Chi. And we go a little different interviewing. It's more about their passions in the industry and their comics, and it's just not their history that we do. And Billy, I've already talked to you. We would love to have you on that eventually too, so you can tell us, the stuff that you love in the comic business. And you're an alpha male like us, but man, you're a comic. Yes, the she. But
you know what I learned? Can I tell you something I learned about comic creators, John and Steve? Is most comic creators are macho. They're actually they're men of men. They're athletes. They're veterans. They're guys that they get it, right? They get adventure. They get excitement, and they're able to take those experiences and put them on paper. And no offense to my fellow comic fans out there, they're not the guys that are like, hey, what do you think that this character will do? This character? No, they're like, I jumped out of a freaking airplane. Like what? I jumped out of a freaking airplane. Like for real? I mean, it is unbelievable. If you actually talk to these comic creators, they're far beyond comics, man. And I think that's what makes them amazing storytellers.
Well, I think that might have been a couple of years ago, but there's a whole new generation of creators out there right now. And if their Starbucks isn't the right temperature,
oh no,
Yeah.
Steve, we can't talk about
Right,
those.
Steve.
We can't talk about those, or we're going to get hated on. I'm
Yeah,
telling you.
dude.
Those-
Okay, I got it. There's a lot of soy boys, man.
Steve, I am so happy you just mentioned that, by the way. But
We already know we're going to get a certain dynamic because we've
Yes.
already been vocal about this. That's why we
Yeah.
talk about the comics.
I don't
That's
know
why
what you
me
guys.
and,
I don't know your guys' thoughts
me
on
and
this.
John,
but-
we had an immediate bond because we both. When I would talk about a comic story, and he would go, "Oh yeah," and he would finish my sentence, and I was like, "Oh, okay, so he's read it too," and it would go again on title, book, issue, whatever it was, and we're also very like-minded, and we are pretty strong-willed in what we like, and then we are voraciously furious at what we don't like.
Good.
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 On our podcast, we have been very restrained. We have not ripped into anyone. That's not really our goal right now. But that's, ordinarily, if it had been some person that's come along and they were like, we're going to talk about the variants of Deadpool today and Deadpoo, I would be like, you know what? You need to go away. But because of the format of our podcast, and definitely the guests that we're going to be getting, and the fact that me and John are definitely steeped heavily about 20-30 years ago, I will admit, I think it works well. Although we are going to push it a little bit on and have some other people, we're not just going to be pigeonholed.
I need to ask you a favor, Steve, and I need to ask you a favor, John. Do not hold back. Okay, because the comic industry right now, and I don't care who's watching, and you may know our channel, you may know we are friendly to every creator. All right, we are
Except
friendly
that one
from
guy
any
that he knows
side.
who he
As
is
long
and what
as
he
you're
did.
cool, we're cool. Comics today, they're not the same, and I just have to say, like, that's it. Just hit it hard, hit it real. And
All right, so you want me to hit it hard? Comics today suck.
comics today suck. Yes,
Oh,
we
they
get
suck.
it.
And what's worse is that
Well-
the sales suck.
And the
Sales
sales are
suck.
misleading because Steve can tell you this. They have like 50 different covers for one issue.
Yeah.
Oh, we are here. I do want to say, I don't want to cut you guys off, but we are here to promote your channel, to promote the podcast and what you guys are doing. I don't want to get off on a huge tangent that we can easily kill up the rest of the 10, 15 minutes left on your segment. But I do want to support what you guys are doing, right? I want to support the history of comics. I want to support the raw information that you guys are giving because your channel is fun and it's new. And people need to know about it. But I think what's gonna really help you is to let people know that you are about what comics are about, which is about escapism, which is about heroes having muscles, which is about heroes looking bigger and better than me or you. I don't want a hero to look like me. I will not feel protected. I want a hero to look like a gargantuan, a guy that I'm gonna wrap his thigh, right? Like, save me. And it may be a little questionable, but I'm just wrapping his thigh, like, save me. And that's what we're here to promote, because isn't that what comics are about? It's about the giants. It's about the
It's
giants
definitely what
that
it
we
should
can't
be
have.
about, but it hasn't been about that.
It's not about my Starbucks order and what you can do.
It hasn't been about that for a while, and I just said something to Billy the other day, heroes come in all shapes and sizes, but you want them to be something that's more than you, which is why, another thing people always say is never ever meet your heroes, because you'll always be disappointed. And I think that is how the new comic book creators have came up with. And it's all about these things that don't matter. Like if my car's dangling off a bridge and it falls and Superman comes and saves my car and puts me back on the bridge, I'm going to be so thankful that my life was saved. I'm not going to be more thankful if he's gay. I'm not going to be more thankful if he's, trans. Like again, I'm happy that I'm alive.
Yeah. And if you're gay, like, that's awesome. I'm glad you're gay. I hope you find love, but save my fucking life.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
that's what the superheroes are for. They save our lives.
I'm just saying it doesn't matter to the story.
Climate change too.
Well, that's the good thing.
Climate.
That's the good thing about our podcast is because when we have, especially when we have our guests, so we do like a little spotlight. Yeah. Like sometimes John will have a little spotlight, and I get to see him gushing and like it's just very embarrassing. And then it's even worse when I do it. So he did a couple of issues of the Defenders. I did a special one on Thor. So anyone who's watching knows that we're from an era where we were 1000% immersed. Okay, we didn't have 5,000 things going on. There was no social media. We got home to the house, and if the parents said there's no TV on right now, go to bed, we had our comics to read, and we could get really immersed in it.
Exactly.
And our imaginations were just exploding, and the creators at the time were taking us on these journeys. And what we're going to be able to do on our podcast is when we get our specific professional guests, we can spur them on, and then we can say, by the way, when I read such and such, I was thinking about this, and this is what it did to me. How about the creative process? So we can also get some of these names like Steve Englehart, Jerry Conway, Roy Thomas. We can get their names back out there so people can go, oh, wait a minute. So Jerry Conway, he just didn't write Spider-Man, right? He just didn't kill Gwen Stacy. He's like, what about all the thousands of other books that he wrote? Okay, so that's where our podcast is definitely a platform for that. Because both me and John are very similar. We also believe in massive stories, little glasses with brains and eyes communicating. The more you're out there, the better. The more serious you get, and if a character comes along and it's a 3-issue story arc of how he's going to come out of the closet, I technically am not interested in that. Some people may be, but to me, I'd rather know why or how the Red Skull is about to destroy another country. That's more interesting to me.
Yeah. And another thing with Steve, that when I first talked to Steve, what he said something to me that I totally related to it. He said when he first opened up those comic books, it was like he saw his imagination on the page. And when he said that to me, I fell in love with him. And I was like, I never stated that, but I always thought that. And I was like, and another great thing about this is me and Steve are discovering things about each other too. And we started collecting at the same time. We started getting into the same interests. So we're discovering ourselves and our passion. But Steve is correct. Like these comics, it opened a whole new gateway for us in the world. And so it was just it was like such a magical thing to look at that. And we're trying to convey that to the audience about understand what we're saying. And another thing Steve said that was very interesting was people love, or if people will talk about the modern comics, they'll say this, and this saga was unbelievable. And then Steve will be like, wait a second, you didn't read this back in the 70s. It's the reason why that's even written. And like, people don't know about those sorts. They stop usually at Todd McFarlane. After Todd McFarlane, I don't know if many people know. So we're here to tell them there was a shitload of things before Todd McFarlane and that were better.
Well, so I get that. Like you're trying to tell them better. So what is the actual goal of the channel?
Well, the goal is to get people engaged in talking about comics, specifically, the era that we're into, the foundational era of Marvel, and also specifically when we get to speak to professionals, to dig into the weeds and get first-hand information that they can give us, and not stupid questions like, what color were your socks the day you wrote The Death of Gwen Stacy? We want to get this information out and allow, people to hear their stories, and we can prompt them a little bit. Maybe, because obviously me and John have been around a long time. We remember Comics Journal and Amazing Heroes. A lot of stuff has been out there, but there's a lot of stuff going on today, which is very flash in the pan. Okay, it's like it comes along and like, oh, this is in the top 10 hottest books of this month, blah, blah, blah. There's going to be 6 variants. That's not what we're going for. We are going for fans, and even if they are a younger fan, maybe we can pique their interest and they can say, I didn't know that. When did that appear? No one's ever told me that before. Wow, that was really fascinating.
So is it like an enlightenment of what those comics meant?
Yes,
or
and also
stories?
Giving them exposure. Like when someone talks about, oh, this story and this happened, and then, me and John can say, well, you do realize that story is based on this story, and the continuity goes back to this point. And if you
do you think today's readers will understand that?
Say again?
Do you think today's readers will grasp that? Or do you
They
think they're
will
too
grasp
far
it today.
gone into a different realm of I hate to say it, politics and world culture, that these old comics don't hold the same relevance.
That is an incredibly a true statement. And I have come across some youngsters who, when I've pushed the material on them, their main criticism was, well, this is sort of an empty story. It's just this villain trying to, and I'm like, but they're not getting the essence of it. However, if we're not going to get everyone, but if we can get a couple, a few, or whatever it is, you know, to have their minds expanded and say, wow, you know what? I would have never, ever have read the Defenders. I don't know who in the hell they are. Okay. Yeah. But after listening to what they said, I didn't realize that. Okay. I didn't understand the origin of Valkyrie. I didn't understand any of that. But when they see us, you know, getting really enthused, you know, getting really, you know, over the top about it, I'm sure that we can breed some excitement.
Yeah.
And passion is enthusiasm. Sorry, is John. Contagious. So if you're enthused about it and you're passionate about it, it's contagious.
And that's what we try to bring with our guests. So when we talk to them, we want to talk about their passions and why they loved it so much and like what brought them there. Not just like Steve said, oh, what were you doing when you wrote this such and such story? No, we want to know why they loved it, what they came in. And we know we're doing something right because we just did Steve Englehart. And Steve Englehart contacted me the next day. And what's the first thing he said to me? I had such a great time. You just let me know when I can come back on. And he was laughing and all that too. So we're coming at him from a fanboy angle, but we're bringing out the fanboy and the creator. So if they see us enthusiastic about it, that's okay. But then when they see the creator, like you're talking about the guy who co-created Star-Lord, Shang-Chi, Mantis, Wendigo, and it goes on and on and on. When you see that and him getting all enthusiastic about this stuff and his stories and why he did these stories, that's also contagious, right, Billy?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, so, it is. That's the ticket.
I love what you guys are doing because I feel like there's an absence of that. And it's funny, my brother-in-law is he helps run a lot of the behind the scenes of this channel. And just the other night he sent to me like it was from, I don't know if it was like from a
Reddit. Did you say thank you, Billy, for my Dawn sketch from Joe Linsner?
Yeah, from 2019. Yes, he did, and he's very happy. Thank you. But we love the Frank Amazing, Billy. Come on, don't do that. But no, in all seriousness, really, like there's, damn, you really threw me off right there because that was funny. But really, like, there's a breakdown of what you guys are trying to do. Like, this is the heart of comics. This is it, right? There is a massive, massive divide in our industry. Okay. And John, you're a collector, you're a reseller, you're a fan, you're everything, right? Steve, from what I know about you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, with Torpedo Comics, being Pawn Stars, you know, right-hand man, you know, when it comes to comics, you're our expert, you know, this and that as far as creating and whatnot. But there is a big divide in the industry right now. There's a big divide politically in this country, right? People are going nuts. Still, after Trump is out of office, Biden is in, people are still crazy insane, right? I have to say, man, you know, we look at what Marvel is doing. We look at what DC is doing. We look at the comics we grew up with. We look at the Silver Age, the Bronze Age. Wow, the Silver Age and the Bronze Age. What an amazing time for comics, right? Creating and establishing characters that we can only imagine, developing those characters into something amazing. Where in the 90s, you know, Rob Liefeld, you know, Todd McFarlane, these guys were able to expand these characters into another realm. But what was interesting, it wasn't about story for them. It was about art style for them, right? Grabbing the graphic nature. What you're trying to do, I will say, is very challenging, but very appreciative. There is not enough channels on YouTube trying to just say, appreciate what is being created, what has been created. Look at the Silver Age, look at the Bronze Age, look at, and maybe even the 90s for you guys. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is so much to comics that I feel, honestly, and Dan Wickline, you may be coming on soon. I apologize. You're probably going to sit in here while we talk about this because this is important. This is truly important. There is such a divide in comics right now that there's no identity right now. Okay. Have you heard of Comicsgate before?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. Yes.
Yeah.
I've just begun to watch some YouTube streaming.
Okay.
So I'm sort of aware of it. Yes.
I'm going to publicly say this, and I've said it before. Comicsgate, I don't care how it started, but where it is now, I have seen, and I'll tell you right now, I'll be honest with you, Steve and John, some of the most passionate creators I have seen in the longest time. I mean, just so passionate. And it's crazy because I love what you guys are doing. Billy sent me the message, and I'm sorry everyone if striking out, but Billy sent me a message. Hey, John's reaching out. John Cimino, hell yeah, I love John. He's so much energy. I love this guy. He's got his new channel, blah, blah. I'm reading it. I'm watching episode 1, 2, 3. I think it was 4 at the time before this aired. And I'm like, I love this. This is great. They're embodying, they're encompassing what comics is. And it's so simple. It's one word, escapism. But then it's 2 words, imagination, right? And then it's 3 words, immersive universe. Like, guys, girls, whatever you want to be called, like, comics are about the unreality. It's an unreality. It doesn't have to be like anything ever. And it's crazy because we're seeing these comics develop and whatnot, but we're seeing this big divide. And I love what you guys are doing, but I really have to ask you guys, this is the long dragged out question. How is your channel going to combat modern comics?
Well, that's a huge question.
I'm sorry.
Course, if we want
just to cut Steve off real quick, the only reason I ask this because if you need to watch episodes 1 through 4, because you guys get so deep that I want my back issues. Like, no joke. You do so well at selling back fucking issues. Is it Otto?
Yeah,
yes.
Otto. Yeah.
Otto. We should have got him on. Otto, that like I literally called my boy Richie. And I'm like, dude, I need this, and this. Like you guys are doing so well at selling back issues. We need someone, if it's not us, if it's you, someone needs to bridge the gap because this is too insane.
Yeah, I mean, the point you're bringing up is probably the most important and divisive part of what's going on in the industry right now. And basically it comes down to the fact that the Marvel and DC and a lot of other places have had an influx of people working who don't actually like what came before. And in their opinion, something has to be changed. And they're like, well, I have never been happy with this. Then if you're not happy with it, stay away. Go away. However, they've got into the industry and they're plucking in, they're using characters that we've known for 35, 40, 50 years. We've loved them. And another person's come along and been hired, either an editor or something like that. And that person says, I always hated that character because of this, and this. And I'm going to change it. Yeah. Me, after 50 years, I think that I can do it. And then instead of an editor, like a Jim Shooter coming in and going, you're fired, go home. The editor is saying, hey, well, what do you think's wrong with the character? So if that happens to all the characters all the time, that's where you get this gap. You have a gap of all these new people who are reading, and they only read 1 book a month, okay? And then there was us that you read 10, 20, 30 books a week, okay? We loved it because there was nothing wrong with it. We were on the journey. How are the writers taking and the artists taking us on the journey? We didn't stop and say, well, I don't think the character should have done that. And as soon as I get there to Marvel, I'm going to change that. It was like, wow, that was amazing. Maybe I could use that for another story idea. That's the gap. And I understand that our channel may not appeal to that certain segment who feel that everything that's been done in comics has been divisive, racist, sexist, whatever it is. You're not going to make those people happy. But people on the fringes, people who have they go on the web and they look at certain things like, I don't care about the value of a certain variant. If they pop into one of our podcasts and they see me waxing poetic about Nova, they're like, oh, what the hell's going on here? they can escape into our podcast, because 9 times out of 10, I think John will agree with me, we are not going to get too heavy. There is one subject that's going to come up where we are probably going to get really heavy, and that's Stan Lee, but that's for later on, okay? But we're not going to be screaming and crying, about, brand new stuff and then causing a big mess. Right now, we're getting our placing, we're putting our foot down, we're building our platform, and I just love the fact that you said that you wanted to find some back issues. That means we're doing our job.
Yes.
I will say,
can I ask you guys a question right now, please? I'm putting on the spot right now. Take a drink. Nestle Quick, really good. No, I'm just joking. But I want you guys on the streams more because you understand comics, right? But you understand where comics are at. But really, I think what people need to understand is where comics have been. I feel like that is getting forgotten.
It is something pretty awesome, because your show is granted, it's a show to entertain for sure, but more so on top of that, you're doing a lot of things that other people aren't doing, which is you're educating and informing. There's you don't really know where you are until you know where you've been. Yeah. And what I see happening, and what I hope doesn't end up happening is I don't know if you guys remember from Marvel Avengers Civil War, like when they're trying to take down Ant-Man. Spoiler alert, everybody that hasn't seen Civil War. And Spider-Man's swinging around, and he's like, "Hey guys, do you remember that old movie Star Wars? Where they wrapped around the leg? Like that is kind of the disconnect that I think that we're seeing right now. Is the people nowadays they don't realize that their old thing like Star Wars was actually from something that was even before taken from something even before Star Wars." And I hate it, the idea that in the future, somebody's going to be like, "Hey guys, you remember that old comic book where, Superman, did this?" And it's something that's of regular, something that's of today's standards, which no one, do you guys remember when Thor's hammer became sentient, became a woman, and was mad at Thor because he didn't get permission to use her? I'm like, what? Is that even real life?
We want to talk about, I love how you said educating people, educating through with enthusiasm. But my goal is to bring back the stories and the heroes when they were fantastic. When they were, when you were watching a Saturday morning cartoon. Sometimes there's not much substance there, but you were in awe, and you were like, that's awesome. That's what we want to bring, is when they were fantastic, not political, not marginalized, not all this other crap, when they were fantastic. And when we opened up those books, it was like on Saturday, it was like Saturday morning, eating a cereal, watching those cartoons. But when you opened up that book, you fell into a world of fantastic adventure, adventure. Hiya!
Yeah. Now I'm actually going to bring our I know we've been talking about the channel, this and that, and so many different demographics of what the channel is about in comics and everything. But I do, and Steve and John, I know you're very busy schedule. I get it. If you have to leave, bounce. But I want to bring Dan in, okay? Because I think what Dan is doing is pivotal to the new golden age. And if you look at the bottom of my screen here, a lot of what we do here on POPXP and crowdfunding comics is the new golden age. And I really do believe, and I think Billy can attest, I think the golden age is crowdfunding comics, because we live in a world of in demand. We live in a world of, why wait for Marvel or DC or some other publisher to give you what you want when you can literally go to your creator, go to the guy or girl that's making what you want and get what you want. So I want to bring in Dan really quick, if you don't mind, and I think we should continue this conversation because he is doing this. Dan, welcome to the show. Dan Wickline, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing? Yeah, you guys.
Dan, I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Shadowhawk. I'm glad you worked on it, and
also a huge fan of Shadowhawk. This guy, man, get out
this
of
guy
here.
right here, huge fan of Shadowhawk. Is coming by my screen.
Oh yeah, that was a dream project for me to get to play with that character. So,
but no, and Dan, if we're talking about anything that is outside of your demographic of politics or topics, please just, hey guys, I don't want to touch on it, but I do want to touch on the fact that John and Steve. Do you know Steve or John, Dave? Dan?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
But I've been listening to them, and these guys are great. So
John is awesome. I've known John for a very long time. Whether he remembers it or not, no big deal. But I've known John through certain conventions, and a friend of mine that hosts certain conventions. And John is awesome. I mean, he's the real deal. And Steve, honestly, I don't even have to say anything. You watch Pawn Stars, you know that if they ever get a comic book, this is the guy they're calling. So Steve Houston is the guy they're calling for that. But also, if you do know Torpedo Comics, you do know their reputation, you do know they know anything about comics. So put Pawn Stars aside. It's a great show. But in the reality about comics and everything else, Steve, his team, they know what they're talking about. And Steve's the real deal. So,
Steve's also an Overstreet advisor, too.
I was just about getting that. And Overstreet advising our good friend JC Vaughn. So if you know about JC Vaughn, then you know about Steve. But no, seriously, Dan, I feel like you know what's killing me is like the views tonight are killing me. We have such an awesome panel tonight, guys. Share the stream, share it on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you're doing. We got retailers, we got comic book guys, we got creators, we got everyone. Any gamut podcasters on
we got Blevins on.
We got the Dr. Blevins. We got the Tooch. The Tooch is in the house. But seriously, let's talk about this, right? Dan, I want to know your opinion. And say as much as you want to say. I know we're here to promote your Kickstarter, which is awesome, by the way. I love the book. But let's talk about today's comics, man. How do you feel about today's comics?
I look at it this way. I think I see all these changes being made. And a lot of times it feels like the changes are being made just to be made. You know, it used to be a writer would come on a book and just want to tell a good story. And now it's all about making the big change, making the popular change. And half the time it gets turned back around by the next writer. Mm-hmm. There's no real substance to a lot of the stuff being made nowadays.
You're right.
You know, and I see it in, you know, there's a very vocal, I like to refer to them as a vocal minority that come in, they look at these characters, they go, well, this is what's wrong with it, that's what's wrong with it, but they scream at the top of their lungs, and they're not the people buying the books in the first place, which is, you were saying about how Kickstarter might be the new golden age, because
Kickstarter, Indiegogo, just crowdfunding in general.
Yeah, crowdfunding in general, because you can basically do the book you want to do. Dan, where publishers have to worry about.
I think I just fell in love with you. Keep talking. Sorry, Steve. I don't care if you don't care about same sex. This guy knows what he's talking about, and I'm in love.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Is you can go out and do the book I'm doing right now. It's an erotic romance, which right now there's a huge market for it. You look at books like Sunstone and Swing, the stuff Top Cow's doing. You talk to to Matt Hawkins over at Top Cow, he'll tell you Sunstone is their best-selling book. And this is a book. This is a book that majority of the pages are available free on DeviantArt before it ever comes out in a trade. And people still buy the trades, and it sells like crazy. And it's because Stepan Sejic is doing the book he wants to do.
Right.
He's not worried about, you know.
Can I ask a serious question? And no. I'm gonna ask a serious question, and I deny all you want because this is very loaded. Okay, very loaded. Sorry, Steve and John. I would normally send this to you in advance, but so have you heard of Comicsgate?
I have.
Okay. Steve, have you heard of Comicsgate?
Yes.
Yeah.
John?
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Of course I have.
Okay. So I don't besides the origin, if you Google it, if you Wikipedia it, it's horrible. It is so horrible, right? But I know so many amazing creators. It's not true. So, is what they're doing wrong? Dan, Steve, John, is what they're doing wrong? Because everyone here just told me that we're so lost in comics right now.
Well, I think what we're seeing right now is both publishers are openly prepared to print loss leaders every title now. They're willing to send a message to virtual signal. And even when those atrocious sales figures come in, they're like, well, you know,
it's a win.
At least we're getting a message over. And this is the new message.
But let me, all right. Can I ask you, Steve, I'm going to single you out. All right. If they said, Steve, Superman's gay, does it faze you?
Well, I am not a DC fan, right? However.
Okay. Is Iron Man gay?
No. But still, when I heard it, I felt so sorry for people who love Superman and the mythology. Because I was thinking to myself, after all these years, with all the magnificent tools that we have now to create, draw, color, print, we have the finest tools in the world. Our methods are magnificent. However, the people who are in charge of the thought process and the creative process, that's the best they can think of. That. And of course, the first issue sold like wildfire because people were speculating. And I just found out like last week that the book has died. It's not even in the top
it's
50.
tanked.
In the
It's tanked.
In the
It's
dump.
tanked.
70,
Weak
it went
sauce.
from like
Weak
number
sauce.
6 to number
All right.
77.
Here's my theory.
Weak sauce.
Okay. And Dan,
Hey, can I just
Steve,
real
Yeah.
quick now? Can I just say one thing just to tag off what he said? Like I completely agree with you. I felt so sorry for all the people who maybe don't believe in that kind of lifestyle, or that were just like, man, what did you do? Like all the people who got Superman tattoos and like bought all the books and did all this stuff. It felt to me like DC and Marvel and some of the other one, that they are trying literally to gain the approval of the two in the bush, and they're willing to risk the one in the hand, and they've realized that they have failed. Like they have all lost the one in the hand, and I don't think they're ever going to get that one back, especially struggling to get the two in the bush. That's my add-on. Sorry, Nile.
No, I appreciate that because I hate to have that conversation, but we're almost 500 episodes in, guys. We're almost 500 episodes in. Steve, John, thanks for coming on. But like, it's come to a point where it's like, if you go beyond that, it's so stale. Like, there's so much more to the industry. There's so much more to that's been done. Like, we see that caveat, right? Like, Superman died in the early 90s. I have them. I have them in my vault. I have them. They're not worth shit. I can wipe my ass with these books because they're not worth shit. Like, what is going on? And I don't want to take our three guests tonight and say I'm pinpointing you to this, but I am pinpointing one thing. Can either of our guests guess what I'm pinpointing tonight? And it's in the development of story.
Are you trying to pinpoint a complete lack of imagination?
Yes, we're pinpointing lack of imagination, right? So I am a super advocate, right? Like, my sister's gay, my cousin's gay. Like, no, I seriously, like, I don't care who you are or what you do. Be a good person. I don't care. I don't care about your sexual orientation. That doesn't matter. Just be a good person. But how do we relate that to a good story? Like, why take like Bruce Wayne and make him this, or why make Clark Kent and make him this, or just let's kill Clark Kent and make him this? Like, I'm afraid that what we're doing is useless.
Yeah,
are
see,
we all sitting here fucked, Billy Tucci? Are we fucked?
Not me.
No, you own every aspect. No, seriously.
Ring that bell,
what
Billy.
Steve is doing, what John's doing, what I love, what Brian loves.
Well, you know what it
Dan's
is, I
doing.
think, and the thing is that they're trying to play to, an audience that really isn't there. But what it is for those that are there, and I've talked to some of my friends,
I'm sorry,
about this who are gay and all, and or you know, or bisexual or LGBTQ, and these are longtime comic fans. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not a, you know, I'm in my 50s and all, but they see it as a gimmick, just like they saw that Snowflake and Safe Space thing that Marvel put out for was it the New Mutants or New Warriors?
New
Warriors.
Yeah, they saw that as a gimmick.
It's a trend. They're literally trying to make money off a trend. Yet they're like literally fucking with real people.
You know how much I don't understand what's going on with comics now? I stopped collecting in 2003, in 2003, completely. I had the hugest collection. I had everything. I never bought another comic off the shelf until 2016. You know what I bought? The Shazam family meet the Scooby-Doo crew. And I said, that's going to be the only... I looked at that and I said, wait a second. I love the Marvel family. I love... They called them Shazam family, obviously. And I like Scooby-Doo. And it just reminded me of those Scooby-Doo cartoons. And I said, you know what? I'm going to spend the $5 on this comic. I didn't want to, but I said, I'm going to support this because that kind of went back. So whatever came before or after, I don't give a shit.
But that's why what you and Steve are doing, and what Dan's doing. Dan, you were writing mainstream comics. You were working for Image. You were doing what was going on, like Shadowhawk. Like seriously, like when Vinny reached out to me and said, "Hey, you gotta have Vince on," and I looked at the bio, I was like, "Shadowhawk." I don't know about you and Steve, John, but like I am a huge Shadowhawk fan. I think one of the best designed characters. But like so underrated. But we're dealing in a world right now, and I told Billy tonight. I said, Billy, man, I don't know. I'm feeling passionate.
I know.
Like, the industry is so fucked, guys.
Well, you know what? I do want to jump in on this because,
please, Dan.
I think the bottom line for me is it isn't about the readers at this point anymore. DC can make whatever comic book they want, and they're a business. They're a business. They can chase whatever trends they want, just like Marvel can.
Yep.
But you know, the problem is that there is this anger on, you know, that comes out. You know, whether it's you were talking about it. It's like, oh my God, Superman's now gay. Well, okay, it wasn't Superman. It was his son who's taken over.
But make Superman gay.
But it's something DC wanted to try. And you know what? If it works, great. If it doesn't, Dynamite went and did all new costumes for Vampirella and Red Sonja and all that. And it didn't work. And they went back to the classics. But they tried it. And it shouldn't be... It's the vitriol that comes with all of this. It's the two sides screaming at each other when the people in the middle are the readers. They vote with their dollars. They come up and they say, that's not the book for me. I'm not buying it, or I want to read that. That's what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
So all of this Comicsgate stuff, you know what? I am not associated with that. I don't want anything to do with that. It's just, can we get that crap out of the industry and just get back to telling the stories we want to tell and finding the audience and the
stories we want to tell.
Well, and that's the point, is I don't think the stories should be dictated by the vocal, like I said, the vocal ends of the spectrum who aren't even really buying the comics half the time, when it should be the people who just want to read good stories. They don't recognize the fact that, like, you know, X amount buys the comics and X amount doesn't buy the comics. They go by what IGN is offering and G4 is offering, and like, and Blevins, you know about the whole freaking, like,
the G4.
We are stuck in this world of like 10 people say no, 1 million people say yes.
But it's a silent majority that people aren't paying attention to.
No, it's a silent majority that they are. Because those silent majority are the 20,000, the 30,000 say, no, you can't do that. But the 100, 200, 300 says, yes, let's do it. But they stop.
Well, I think that's only a third of the story. The main problem, and I think Dan is alluding to it as well, is the fact that the editors that you have now working at the companies are not the editors of old. They are brand new young people that have a whole different sense about themselves and about the world. And then they have their own pet projects. And so when a writer comes up and says, I have a great idea for Captain America, okay? He's going to carry a pocket dildo. In the old days, an editor would said, you know what? Please go back to the drawing board, learn, find out what this character does and who it is, and then come back with another proposal. These days, you have other editors who are saying, wow, you know, I never liked that character anyway. I think that's actually a good idea. That story gets done. It gets pushed forward. It comes out. It pisses off a lot of people. And then, as Dan said, the creative people are switched out. The other people come along. That idea is forgotten. But the damage has been done because you've lost some readers, and it happens again and again and again until what you're left with is the people who are just speculating, buying, flipping variants. We are living in a golden era of advertising for our business. All those movies, 24/7, every channel, streaming, Marvel and DC, we've seen it all. Our readership has shrunk.
Yeah.
That's impossible to imagine.
Because they're not telling that same story, man. They're disconnected. It's literally the comic book world. The editors are the blind leading the blind, which are the creators.
Yeah, but
you know I hate to say it. You know what? Get Roy Thomas on and tell him how these fuckers fucked up.
I'll tell you,
he knows.
Jim Shooter doesn't hold back.
Yeah.
No.
But they're also afraid to say no to these people because someone can then put it out on Twitter or on Instagram, whatever, that I pitched this story that had some sort of whatever political slant they had or something like that, and it was rejected. You know what that tells me? That tells me that DC Comics hates, you know, A, B, C, or D, or E, you know, that sort of thing. And they're terrified of it. They're terrified of the left, even people to cover stories, to cover books, to cover, say, like Nile brought Comicsgate. They're afraid, even though they agree with them, even though these books may be selling 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, a million in crowdfunding sales, they're afraid to cover them because of the hate and the accusations they'll be getting of like and you know, false accusations. They say it's a hate group, blah blah blah. Bullshit.
Well, let's do this, Billy. Billy, man, you and we're the epitome of positivity, right?
Yes.
We are all about grabbing you on a Facebook page or just let's just have fun. Let's have fun with comics. And Steve and John are doing it. All right. And I told John, I said, John, I'm making new graphics, right? I'm going to make you new graphics for the channel. And Steve, let's do it. And no, but seriously, Steve and John are doing something awesome. They are making you remember. They are making you remember why you loved comics. And that's why I love listening to their channel. So, if you are on right now, you need to head on over to the Steven Cimino Says Boom podcast and subscribe to that channel right now because they're doing amazing things. Amazing things.
You know what it's like? And I haven't listened to it yet, gentlemen. Forgive me. I've been fulfilling and lugging boxes up and trying to fit in covers at the same time. What Nile, you sound like is what Steve and John are doing is with their show. It's almost like Ken Burns' film about baseball. You know, did you ever see that? You know, when it was a game and it made you love baseball again. And that's the opportunity you guys have with your knowledge, with your passion, is that you could make people love comics again. People love the movies, but, you know, unfortunately, a lot of those characters that are in the movies are not in the comic books anymore. You know, that's a thing. When there was that revolt at the Marvel Retailer Summit at New York Comic Con in 2017, I think it was. And the retailer said, well, we have, Marvel doesn't sell comics for the people that are already in your store. Marvel sells the comics for the people that are outside your store looking in. So when someone goes to the movies, they're going to want, they see, you know, they go to the Marvel movies and they come in and they want to buy those books. And then one retailer stood up and said, yes, but the characters that are in those movies are not in your books anymore.
That's right.
Tony Stark is no longer Iron Man.
Oh, God.
You know? Thor is a woman. You know, this is the thing. And
Thor's hammer is a woman.
But then what did they say? Is that where it came?
That's real.
Sorry,
that's
Steve. Sorry, Steve. I know. That one hurts. That one hurts him.
But they said, you know, and that's where it came out and said, well, it's pretty clear to us that comic book retailers do not want diversity in comics.
Yeah.
That's
but
what
I
they
feel
got
like
back from that.
But I feel like
it's a business. They want to make money. They want to sell what's selling.
But I feel like what Steve and John are doing is remembering, right? Like remembering why we even got into comics, right, Billy?
Yeah.
Like, so to what you're saying, like tailor off of that is like remembering why we got into comics, Silver Age, Bronze Age, like that's why we got into it.
Yeah. Well, you know I forget. I'm talking too much.
No, I get what you're saying. Hey,
no,
you know what? Yeah, John, go ahead.
What I was going to say is like what I originally said. It's about when they were fantastic. The heroes, you looked up to them. Listen, my parents are immigrants. I came here. They could they could barely speak the language, so they let me read stuff. I worked very hard in the fields with my parents. You know, they had that image. I couldn't really respond to, you know, I couldn't really hang out with friends because we had to work and all that stuff, even at a very young age. But when they let me read whatever I wanted because they wanted me to speak American, you know? So, but when I was reading those comics, it was such an escape and it was such a positive thing. Like I wanted to be Captain America. Yeah. I wanted to be Spider-Man, even Captain Marvel. They did the right things, even when things were bad in their lives. It was like you wanted to dream and be that. They uplifted you. And that's what I felt when I read those comic books. Today, when I just see some of that stuff, I don't feel that magic was there anymore. It's dark. It's political. Yep. I don't care about the pussification of America. I don't care what's going on with the stock market. I want to see Dr. Doom fighting the Fantastic Four and like above the Baxter Building, and because some contraption he made and they have to save the city. That's the stuff that was uplifting to me, and that's the stuff I wish. What we're trying to convey today, and I wish people would understand. If they don't, they're missing out. But if they listen to some of the stuff that me and Steve are saying, and maybe check it out, they might find that they might like.
So you
something.
know what might be really cool additive on top of that is like if you guys and Steve and John, I'm sorry, like we've totally extended our time with you guys. I think a lot going
No, it's
on.
okay.
You're very busy.
It's all good.
I actually, but we're gonna talk into Dan's campaign. Right? Because Dan is just doing what most creators are doing is like, you know what? If you're going to police what I'm doing, if you're going to control what I'm doing, I'm just going to make what I want for my fans. Right, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, this is a book that would be hard to push into some comic stores, depending on the stores, where you can do it through a crowdfunding. And, you know, this is a much more adult title. So, you're not limited to where you can get into because of that. You get to go directly to the actual, the actual audience.
But look at that! You're almost at $40,000, dude.
Well done.
How long is the video, Dan?
It's not that long. I think it's like a minute and a half.
Do we have time to play it now?
Yeah, let's play the campaign.
Is it suitable? Is it safe for work?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Dan Wickline, and you might know me from my works on The Adventures of Sinbad for Zenoscope, or The 30 Days of Night series for IDW, the pulse-pounding action of Shadowhawk over at Image, or my recent post-apocalyptic tale The Freeze for Top Cow. Now, while I've written hundreds of stories in comics, novels, and screenplays, today I want to talk to you about one that's a little more personal for me. This is the adult-themed slice-of-life graphic novel Karma. Now, besides being a writer, I've been a published photographer for the last 20 years. And that has led me to some very interesting situations. And when given a chance to do a story that mixes romance, comedy, and eroticism, I decided to take some of those unique moments and sew them together with a story of two people from very different worlds, united in the desire to create beauty in art. Alex is an advertising photographer who wears jeans and t-shirts. He enjoys a good baseball game, and he drives a big truck. Karma is a model on the verge of stardom. She spends her nights at the most popular clubs wearing the absolute latest fashion, when she wears anything at all. Now, though their worlds are light years apart, when circumstances bring them together, sparks are going to fly. It's an erotic, romantic comedy that deals with everything from fetishism to photography to betrayal, all with the beautiful art of Carlos Reno and stunning covers by Stepan Sejic, Mirka Andolfo, and Michael Di Pascal. Now, this is my first Kickstarter campaign, and it's for a book I'm very proud of. So I hope you'll join me in the fun and sexy world of Karma.
Nice.
Even that music is spicy.
It's a spicy meatball.
Very spicy.
That's a spicy meatball.
No, you see what Dan's doing, man. Should creators take it to their own hands and just go out in the crowdfunding realm?
Well, I think we're at you mentioned a golden age, but in terms of the amount of product and diversity of material that people are reading, it's incredible now. If you buy, or you get the the diamond previews, you just take a little look through there. Every subject, genre, everything is available. If you guys can remember all the way back to the 1990s when everything was just superheroes and bad girls, okay, it was a very limited little audience. Compared to today, there is far more avenues for people to do far more different subjects. And this book is right there, right with it. People are saying, I don't read superheroes anymore. I moved on. Fine. That's great. They need a place to go. They need something to read. Okay. So, me and John, we're stuck and, we're there. We're 14 years old. Not all people do that.
No.
A lot of people say, I love
Steve,
comics. I love the medium, but I'm going to progress. I'm going to read something else. And right now, there's so much going on. And now with the crowdfunding, if you do come across a company or a publisher that says, well, we don't feel that that's right, you can move on and get your dream out there and get it seen unadulterated the way you want to see it. So, yes, I think we are in a golden age in some way.
Well, I want to say, though, I think there's a big difference. Like, I wish that it could be a situation where all the crowdfunding, like all the Kickstarter, the Indiegogo, all those creators could work together and create their own universe, because the universe is the appealing part of it. When you see the one book, you want to see your other heroes come work with them. I think that's what built the Marvel universe. That's what built the DC universe. The Brave and the Bold, the Marvel team ups. Everybody wanted to see all these people interact with each other, whereas it's safe to say that's not going to happen in a crowdfunded world, because unless like one creator creates their own world within themselves, I do think this is an amazing outlet for people to do things. Like, obviously, this kind of, the young adult erotic or the mature readers book is not really something that, you could go put a commercial out there. But I mean, nowadays there's a place specifically for this, which is obvious by the $40,000 he's almost out, with his crowdfunding book. I think it is a completely different story. I love this, and Dan, congrats. I'll tell you, my mind was blown when I saw that you worked on 30 Days a Night. Had no idea, man. 30 Days a Night was like my jam, dude. I had no idea that was you. And I'm so psyched about it. Sorry, that's a little tangent. But yeah, again, in the crowdfunding space, it sucks that the crowdfunding, like some people do get together, but there's not a cohesiveness when everybody's trying to get, a piece of the pie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I think with the crowdfunding, you get a chance to, nowadays there's so many books out there and so much, the major publishers get all the attention. So
Right.
just getting anybody to notice your book is hard, where you can do something like a crowdfund and really focus on it. And the fact that you can do these stretch goals and stuff, like
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell you guys this. You'll be the first to hear this, but when we hit 40,000, we reach our next stretch goal. The next thing we're doing is going to be a hardcover version, and it's going to be a pretty easy stretch goal to meet. We think we're going to hit it, but the fact that we can do this, line it up, and be able to go, okay, it justifies a hardcover at that point. In the standard distribution method, you don't really have that option. You have to plan all that out in front. So that's some of the stuff I love about the crowdfunding, is you can really get an idea of what your audience is and how much you can do as you go along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also think that the concept of crowdfunding and single people and single universes and people just dealing with their single is also a reaction to people who have grown tired of these massive, line-wide crossover epics which go nowhere. So if they're reading their own book, they're reading Saga, or they're reading Invincible, or they're reading, a book like Preacher, they can just read those books by themselves, not have to worry about crossing over or doing anything else like that. So, but I do also understand, yes, when you have a big, huge, cohesive universe working together, and it's like, wow, Spidey's meeting the Avengers. That's all great. That's fine and dandy. But I think the crowdfunding and all that will actually benefit more of the people who are doing themes and sort of subjects which aren't quite superhero-ish, trying to appeal to a wider audience, get it out there. Like for this example, I have a couple of friends that would love this book. They don't read superhero books, but I know if I went over their house and said, hey, let me drop this off for you, I know they'd be like, wow, I didn't realize comics were like this, because they're not hearing about it. They're not seeing it. Thus, with the crowdfunding and the ability to get a platform and get product out there like this, I really do believe that in some ways we are in a golden age, and in other ways we are in a dark age, because people like me and John have been pushed out of the Marvel universe, because when we try to get in there, either the story content is awful, the continuity is wrong, the writers aren't impressing us. So we're out of that, But other people who do that, they move on and they read something else. They move on to an independent book, something they can read because they love comics in general. Me and John were just I think we're a little harsh sometimes.
And another thing I can say about the crowdfunding stuff, you see how much these independent guys are making. I mean, they're getting huge sums. Like, look, you're already at 40,000. Ethan Van Sciver got so much. I mean, like, people are hungry out there for something, and they're not getting it with the big two, so they're looking elsewhere. These Kickstarters and crowdfunding stuff aren't making the money they're making if nobody wanted them. I mean, let's be honest here. They're getting some massive amounts of money. So there's a demand out there. So you're creating something that people want, that people are hungering for. And they're going to try that out because they've already lost interest or faith in the big two.
And they're protecting the secondary market. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
They're protecting the secondary market by printing, what they've sold. Like, they're not sitting there with thousands and thousands of excess books unless they plan for it. But what I'm saying is they're protecting their IP, they're protecting their items and the secondary market by not overprinting to oblivion.
Yeah, like our omnibus.
What's sold.
Yeah, there's only 3,000 of our omnibuses. That's it.
That's true.
I want more she. Give me more she. I want more she.
You're getting a lot of it, buddy.
No, but like Karma, I mean, and Dan, I mean, what is this avenue for you with crowdfunding? Is this your first avenue or second avenue, third? Where are you at with this?
First.
This is actually the first time I've tried doing Kickstarter.
Yep.
I actually switched. I I started doing novels and writing novels and publishing them through Amazon and stuff like that for a while, just to try a different market, because you got to go and try to find your audience. Mm-hmm. So this is the first time I'm trying this. Seems to be working pretty well though. So
good.
Yeah, no, and 40,000 is awesome, man. Like, you are there. You're at almost 900,000 backers. I mean, you're crushing it.
900.
I mean, 900 backers. You're crushing it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
900,000 backers. That total would be a little higher.
Yeah, a little higher. No, but you're crushing it, man.
And it's liberating, isn't it?
It is pretty fascinating, yeah. Because I've worked on a lot of projects that we expected to go big and then just kind of fizzle because the marketing wasn't there, or we just didn't get the word of mouth out. So to hit like this is really, really kind of heartwarming,
Yeah.
Well, to go back to the funding, me being a dealer back in the old days, Billy, you know about this too. I'm sure you know, Steve too. Remember when you were an independent creator, and then all you could do was go to Artist Alley and everybody just walked by you. You didn't have that because you didn't have the money as the other people. Believe me, I did it with Hero Envy with a bunch of friends. We sold DVDs. We had a web series. We tried to make shirts. And it's hard. But now with the technology and stuff, that you can actually put it out there, that people and people are interested in looking at this stuff, because like I said, it is a golden age in some aspects. So now, like, an independent creator we all have almost the same starting level, so you can just use those things and make your stuff. Because back in the day, you were in Artist Alley and people just walked by you, and it was depressing. It was almost like a door-to-door salesman trying to sell vacuum cleaners, and 100 of those are going to shut in your face. But now with this crowdfunding and all these GoFundMes, there's a better chance to get that. And like I said, with the money you're making, there's a demand. 900 backers first time. That's pretty good if you ask me.
I think another really good example of a creator that went over to play with Marvel's Sandcastle and was like, okay, I think I'm going to have a great time over here. And of course, that's Robert Kirkman. So he went over to Marvel, he wanted to do some stuff, he got excited, and they sort of poo-pooed him. They had a little bit of success.
They dumped all over him, for sure.
He did his Marvel Zombies. But basically, I don't know the full story, but he sort of left feeling, wait a minute, that really wasn't what I wanted. He had it in his head. He had two projects in his head. One was a zombie thing to push it in his own way, but the Invincible series. Now, if Marvel had been more open to him and he would have done something like that within Marvel and got that brand new audience, okay, then they would have been the ones that would have been laughing and very happy. However, they probably stunted him, told him that he couldn't do certain things and certain things won't work. He took his bag of tricks. He left. He found someone else. And look at Robert Kirk and look at Invincible now. I mean,
he took his ball and went home.
It's massive. So now he has two major franchises. And, it gives people hope that, okay, if the big two let you down or some editor comes along and just poops on you, you take your idea, you go home, you can crowdfund it. Okay, and get success elsewhere, or you can get another publisher, and you may end up laughing all the way to the bank.
Steve, let me tell you, I agree with that, because I am and I thanked on the last week's show, I thanked Marvel and DC for not hiring me 28 years ago, that they rejected me. Because that then what made me, I had no plan B, so my thing was, you know what? I'm going to make my own book. And I published, I don't know, probably 200 issues of all different books, but the vast majority of them were and now I've got this whole library of all my creator-owned stuff. I own it all. And now I've made more money on this one campaign than I made in 15 years working for DC Comics on this new campaign. And I own it all. And so imagine if Robert Kirkman did have Walking Dead over at Marvel first. Yeah, he would have got some residuals. He would have got something. He would not be the millionaire, executive producer that he is today.
half owner of Image with Skybound. Yeah.
You have guys like Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon who created Bane, and I think they collectively got from DC Comics and royalties, or from Warner's, or whoever it is that owns DC these days. I think they got it in total. I think they got $2,400.
Oh,
that's what they made off of a movie that made over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And even what's his name? Was it Brubaker or Epting? Who was the guy that was saying that they made more money as from being an extra in the Avengers movie than for creating Winter Soldier?
Oh, that's Brubaker.
Yeah,
Brubaker.
it was Ed Brubaker for sure.
Yeah, so he made more money doing that, being in a scene, sitting in a chair or something like that, than he made for creating the character.
Hey, not that I want to derail this, but Art is definitely talking some trash to you, Billy.
What is Art?
About the professionals, bro.
Oh, man.
Get the guns
You're
out.
the first one out, Art T. Bear. You're the first one out with that ripped hole in your pants. You're gone.
Nice. Well, hey, I just want to say, Steve and John, thank you for coming on tonight. Dan, we are going to continue pushing your campaign through our social media and
appreciate
all
that.
those sites. And dude, the book looks great.
Yeah. Thank you.
I would also consider putting on Indiegogo once you're done. Do a 3-week campaign, do a month-long campaign. It's basically just taking your Kickstarter campaign and just putting it into Indiegogo, into the Indiegogo platform. Might take you a day to do it, might take you 2, but if you score another $500, $1,000, $5,000, that's money there, because there's a huge audience over at Indiegogo. Huge.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
And like a millionaire now, and I'm gonna take that money out.
And once again, we'd like people to check us out. Steven Cimino says Boom Podcast, and hopefully they can find that they can be entertained by us, or maybe they might find a passion of something that they missed or they didn't even think of looking at. And that's what we hope that people will get. And like I said, we'll have a lot of creators. And Billy, Nile, I'd love to have you guys on it too, to kind of go a little cuckoo with us and talk about your love and stuff. And like I said, with Steve, he's become such a dear friend of mine, and we're so alike, from the Road Warriors to the Nova.
Yeah, I saw the Legion of Doom back there behind you. What's up on that poster?
Yeah, I used to work. I worked with Animal a few times.
Nice.
But I grew up with the Road Warriors, and so with Steve. We got so much in common, and I'm happy to travel this trip with him. And thank you guys for having us on here and to promote this, because it means a lot. And once again, it's just we're trying to have some good old fashioned fun here. That's it.
Yeah,
fun.
I really appreciate it, guys. And believe you me, our little podcast, we can put little in quotes right now, because once these guests start rolling through and we start getting into the weeds, and other people are like, wow, I didn't know that. It's going to explode. And so being right here at the ground level and have you guys supporting us is a wonderful thing. I really appreciate it.
And you guys are great. So anytime you guys want to come on, and even if you want to do a guest host with us and jump in, and we'd love to have you on, because it's good to people that are knowledgeable, that talk comics, love comics. That's what it's like. Again, like you were saying, John, we love these stories. We wanted to be these characters. It was like getting the little Meagle action figures when they first came out, right?
Oh.
Or like John, you got the original Spider-Man Halloween costume. Remember those? What's his name? The name of the company? Ben Cooper.
Ben Cooper, yeah.
Remember how great those Ben Cooper Halloween costumes were? And you were just so excited when you got it. And you could be Captain America. You could be Spider-Man. You could be Cornelius from Planet of the Apes. It was awesome.
And it's funny now working with all these creators, all these legends. And when I hang out with them, or like at shows, or when I hang out with Roy, I'm looking at him, but I'm not seeing Roy Thomas. I'm seeing Wolverine. I'm seeing just all these other characters, and I'm seeing Conan, and it's so exciting. So a thing that we do on our podcast, once again, is trying to get that enthusiasm from the creators too, so people can see their love for this, not just the stereotypical interview, but their love. And I don't know, me and Steve go so nuts. I don't think there's any other way they can.
We do get carried away.
We can't. Just said from the very beginning, and you can see how excited he is about it. Don't hold back.
Yeah, don't hold back. And make sure to head on over to Kickstarter and back Karma, the sizzling erotic graphic novel by Dan Wickline.
This is your daddy's graphic novel. Like this is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Dan, when does it send?
Yes, it is.
7 days. 1 week left.
1 week left. All right.
All right, let's get to 50. Let's do it.
Yeah,
and just as an added reminder, all the things we talked about on the show are located down below in the comments and the description of the video.
So, John, Steve, Dan,
you guys
Billy,
were amazing.
Blevins. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. And
thank you very much.
You back those campaigns. Don, Steve, John, you're more than welcome every time when we're airing live. So everyone have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on POPXP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the POPXP and over on Instagram at the POPXP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.